Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a question that's really shaking up the $65 billion art world, and honestly, it affects pretty much anyone who creates anything for a living. You've seen the headlines, right? Generative AI can now create these absolutely stunning images from just a simple text prompt. And because of that, there's this very real, growing anxiety that human artists and designers might just get pushed aside. It is a superheated debate with huge implications. So yeah, let's dive into it.
Okay, to really get what's happening, we need to look past all the hype and see the two very different ways that AI is actually being used in the creative process. It's not just one big scary thing. It's a bit more nuanced than that.
So on one hand, you've got AI as a co-creator. You can think of it like a brainstorming partner, something that can spitball endless new ideas and help you get unstuck when you have a creative block. But then, on the other hand, AI can be a design material, like a totally new, complex substance, maybe a smart clay or some kind of digital paint that gets woven right into the final product. And that requires a much deeper, more technical grasp from the designer.
So you have these two potential roles, a creative partner or a new tool. How willing are professional designers to actually let AI into their creative space? The answer? Well, it tells us a whole lot about where we are right now.
What's really fascinating here is the pattern that jumps out. Just look at this table. The task that designers rated as the most creative, generating concepts, is where they trust AI the least. But then, as you go down the list to stuff that's maybe a little less, visionary, like researching the problem or project planning, their confidence in AI's ability shoots way up. It's a clear inverse relationship.
So here's the bottom line. Designers are not looking for an AI guru to just hand them the next big idea. They see it more as a pencil sharpener, a tool that handles the tedious grunt work, right? The research, the project planning. And that frees up their time and, more importantly, their mental energy, so they can focus on what really matters, the core vision and the final execution. And that part, they're keeping that for themselves.
But that brings up a really interesting question. What happens when you do try to push AI into those core creative jobs? Well, it turns out that bringing an AI collaborator into a brainstorming session can actually have some surprisingly negative effects on the team. Let's see why that is.
So to understand this, we need to talk about a concept called designer agency. It sounds kind of academic, but it's simple. It's all about who's in the driver's seat. It's about a designer's ability to be proactive, to plan things out, monitor their own progress, clarify what they're trying to do, and really reflect on their work. And a recent workshop shows this perfectly. The team that was brainstorming the old-fashioned way was just a hive of activity, planning, organizing, reflecting. They showed really high designer agency. But the team that was using an AI to generate ideas, they became way more passive. They sort of just started picking from the AI's suggestions. And researchers noticed something wild. The AI's output was actually squashing the team's own creative engagement. And this whole idea of who's in the driver's seat, it doesn't just change how the work feels. It actually has a direct, measurable impact on how we as people value the final piece of art. The 19th century painter James Whistler absolutely nailed it when he said this: "We don't just value art for the hours of sweat and labor that go into it, we value it for the unique human vision behind it all, the story, the intent, the artist's specific point of view." And this chart just brilliantly shows how Whistler's idea is still so true today. A recent study asked people to put a value on artwork, and the results could not be clearer. Art that was labeled as human-made got the highest value. Art from a human-AI collaboration was there in the middle, and art that was labeled as AI only, dead last. It was valued the least. The message from the market, and really from our own gut feeling, is just unmistakable. The story behind the art, that human agency, that intention, that is still the most valuable part of the whole equation. We really, really care about who made it and why they made it. So where does that leave us? Is human creativity really safe?
Well, to get a sense of what the future might hold, it's actually incredibly helpful to look back at another time when a revolutionary technology sent total shockwaves through the art world.
This was the actual reaction of a famous French painter, Paul Delaroche, the very first time he saw a photograph. He was totally convinced that this new machine, the camera, spelled the absolute end for his entire art form. Painting was over. Of course, as we now know, he could not have been more wrong. I mean, sure, the camera did threaten the jobs of some portrait painters, that's true, but it didn't kill painting. If anything, it liberated it. Once painters were freed from the need to perfectly copy reality, they were pushed to explore brand new ideas, and that led directly to revolutionary movements like Impressionism and Cubism. Oh, and it also created the entirely new art of photography itself.
So if history is any guide here, AI is not the death of human creativity. It's a catalyst. It's forcing us to really redefine what it is we value, and it's pushing us into totally new, unexplored creative territories. The real question isn't about what AI is going to replace, it's about what incredible new art forms it's going to force us, the humans, to invent next.